On this edition of Southern Newsweek, Dunedin's Mayor Jules Rannick pushes for options to make the redevelopment of George Street future flexible. Next year's Bluff Oyster Festival has been canned, with the festival's main venue at the heart of the issue. And the Otago Correctional Facility near Milton marks a milestone. Clutha Mayor Brian Cadogan takes stock of its effect on the community. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Dave Gooselink. Dunedin Mayor Jules Rannick encountered a few attempted roadblocks at this week's full council meeting. He wants to look at ways of ensuring the remainder of the George Street redevelopment project is future flexible.
Mayor Rannick wanted to ask for an expanded report from Dunedin City Council staff that would look into whether the George Street redevelopment is tracking on time and on budget, and whether the one-way changes could later be reversed. The Totally Georgious project has already seen the Farmers Block turned into a one-way shared pedestrian and vehicle space. Mayor Rannick's motion around the question of future flexibility was supported 8 votes to 7, but not all around the table were happy about it. Councillors Walker, Benson Pope and Laufiso called the motion a waste of staff time and resources. Councillor O'Malley argued that being part of a council means accepting previous council decisions. He suggested it wasn't productive to constantly second-guess decisions made a year earlier. In Dunedin, the South Today.
The Queenstown Lakes District is famous for its tourism-based economy, but that could be about to change. A couple of businesses in the software sector are set to receive multi-million-dollar loans with the goal to create a diverse economy.
Queenstown's biggest names listening in as the town takes another step towards economic resilience with a $20 million government loan. The two companies, Target 3D and Loaded Reports, received a total of $3.25 million from the Queenstown Economic Transformation and Resilience Fund. Shannon Dowsett says his company will be using $2 million to establish a Queenstown digital studio.
So the $2 million grant is 100% the enablement of Target 3D putting its commercial business into New Zealand.
The studio will include infrastructure like LED screens, motion capture, game engine servers, lighting, production equipment and staging.
Really just open our doors to those users who want to get access to a space that wouldn't normally be available.
Dowsett says they will be ready to go as soon as the $45 million Queenstown Research and Innovation building at Remarkables Park is open. In Queenstown, the South Today.
Bluff Oyster fans have been hit with another disappointment, with news that next year's Bluff Oyster Festival has been cancelled.
The popular annual festival was set to return in March 2023 and draws thousands of seafood fans to the small Southland seaside community. However, COVID restrictions and fishery closures have caused it to be cancelled previously, and now the Bluff Oyster Festival Trust has canned next year's event due to venue issues. The historic Club Hotel alongside the festival site has been condemned after a long-running fight over the building's future. The Festival Trust doesn't believe the site can be made safe in time for March, with the focus now on bringing the event back in 2024. In Invercargill, the South Today.
Gore's Mayor Ben Bell now has a deputy his council can agree on after a month of infighting.
We will need to work as a unified team over the next 3 years, as the council will face a number of extremely difficult challenges over this period.
Gore District councillors voted unanimously on Tuesday to appoint Keith Hovell as Mayor Bell's new deputy mayor. His previous deputy, Stuart MacDonald, resigned from the position earlier this month. MacDonald decided to step aside after calls for his resignation from colleagues who claimed the second-term councillor was too inexperienced to be able to assist Bell. The mayor read MacDonald's resignation letter aloud during the meeting to be transparent with the public. The note emphasising the division rife within Gore's council. New Deputy Keith Hovell is a first-term councillor and former planning consultant who ran on the ticket of positive change. In Gore, the South Today.
It's been 15 years since the Otago Corrections Facility opened just north of Milton. At the time, many locals in the town of Opportunities were concerned about the effect the prison would have on the small town. But long-running Clutha Mayor Brian Cadogan says it hasn't all been bad news.
It's colloquially known as the Milton Hilton, and behind its fences and concrete walls, the Otago Corrections Facility houses around 400 prisoners. It initially caused a degree of angst in the local community when it was established in 2007. But Clutha District Mayor Brian Cadogan suggests the local council sees the facility as an excellent contributor to society.
They've been a great employer and a great contributor to, especially to Milton and Waihola. So there's a lot of people live here that work at the prison, so you've got good steady incomes, but also that social and sporting and the like. We're just lifting the numbers up.
Cadogan recalls one escapee who got out and was on the lam for a while before being caught sleeping in a shearer's quarters. But he says every person deserves a second chance, as all humans can make mistakes. So as a society, we need to see the bigger picture.
I don't think that having the prison there has to any great degree changed the criminal profile of society, of our society. No, I don't.
Cadogan says an agreement with the Department of Corrections that every prisoner from the North Island goes back there has largely been adhered to. But he believes the crew at the Otago Corrections Facility are doing a good job and will play their part in society for years to come. In South Otago, the South Today.
Still to come on this edition of Southern Newsweek, the Queenstown Marine Parade receives a blessing as it gets closer to the finish line, and a popular animatronic attraction returns to Dunedin in time for the Christmas season. Welcome back. The Queenstown Marine Parade received a blessing from local iwi last week as it gets ready for its public opening. The world-class site has undergone a huge renovation leading up to this summer's tourism season.
Waiatars and speeches, as the soon-to-be-finished Queenstown Marine Parade receives a blessing from Kaitahu representative Paulette Tamati. Queenstown Mayor Glenn Lewis was close by for the blessing and believes the lakefront project will be open before Christmas, giving locals a chance to enjoy the new space during summer. Their goal is to improve upon the site rather than change it, and are taking measures to ensure the trees and scenery remain the same.
The aim of the exercise is to improve the current site. For those that are familiar with it, they'll be aware what it looks like in a boggy winter's morning.
Local cafe owners of the bathhouse are also involved and have worked alongside the project to improve their own facilities to complement the site.
Look, it's a world-class setting and we're really thrilled with the work that's been undertaken by the contracting and professional consultancy alongside the team internally. And it's going to be a great asset for the community and for many visitors.
While the lawns will remain fenced off for the time being, the Marine Parade will be available for the public to explore and take in the views. In Queenstown, the South Today.
A new initiative is helping give old clothes a spruce up before they go in search of new owners. Dunedin dry cleaning company Preens is collecting pre-loved dresses and giving them a clean before they hit the rack for sale again for a good cause.
Bringing fashionable summer dresses in for a dry clean before they get passed on to charity and hopefully new owners. The Hang It Up for Hospice campaign encourages Dunedinites to drop off their old dresses to Preens Dry Cleaning as part of a project raising money for the region's hospice. Campaign organisers reckon it's a simple way for the community to show their support.
Have a look through your wardrobes. I'm sure we've all got some dresses in there that we haven't worn for ages, so pull them out and donate them to a good cause and help Preens out with this awesome campaign.
It improves the quality and prices of second-hand dresses going on sale, and for savvy bargain hunters, it's still a chance to score some big names at a deep discount.
We've got a fantastic response so far from the community. People like Charmaine Revley, a company of strangers are jumping on board.
Preens are celebrating 100 years in business this year and believe it's also a fitting way to recognise their long partnership with hospice.
Long involvement, yes, a couple of decades, and as I said, we've been donating 100% of our service for no cost to them.
The dresses will hit the racks just in time for the party season, with keen shoppers able to browse the racks of newly cleaned garments at the Central City Hospice Shop. In Dunedin, the South Today.
A popular Christmas tradition is back as Dunedin families queue up this month to pay a visit to Pixie Town. The latest incarnation of the popular animatronic attraction is now on display at Toitu Otago Settlers Museum for a limited time.
Marching towards Christmas. The mechanical clatter of hundreds of tiny feet filled Toitu Otago Settlers Museum on Friday as curators fired up the Pixie Town display. Taking the kids to visit the Pixies at Christmas is a Dunedin tradition, ever since Santa's model helpers first found a home in the DIC department store back in the 1950s.
We had a great queue. I think the advertising works well, and because it's run every year, it's just a really exciting time when parents bring their kids along, grandparents bring their grandkids, and it's got a lot of history to the city.
According to the museum, curators put a lot of love and effort into maintaining the mechanical marvels.
We have a selection of about 13 units, and we rotate through those each year just to give them a rest and keep them up to speed. But we try to revamp the display every year, and I'm very happy with how it's looking this year.
One section is proving particularly popular this year. Museum hosts say the tiny circus scene with moving zoo animals is drawing most of the attention. Exhibition organisers believe the intricate scenes encourage repeat viewing, as there's always something new for children to discover. The free exhibition is open for visits until the Friday before Christmas, before it's packed away again until next year's festive season. In Dunedin, the South Today.
It's taken 8 years, but work to upgrade the Lakes District Museum in Arrowtown is finally complete. The historic former Bank of New Zealand building has been fully restored and seismically strengthened, with some old school building techniques used along the way.
Finally, a chance to see inside at the grand opening of the Lakes District Museum's historic bank. It's been a long and challenging restoration project for those involved, but the once thriving former BNZ Bank has now reopened to the public, boasting a number of new exhibits. Economic Development Minister Stuart Nash commending Museum Director David Clark for his hard work.
We went through this, David, about a year ago, I think, and it was a shell. And it was hard to imagine what it was going to look like. And the fact that you've restored this back to how it was is absolutely incredible.
Local councillor Craig Ferguson says he sees the museum as one of Wakatupu's greatest assets.
Like the Earnslaw, the Queenstown Gardens, the old Coverdale Falls Bridge, Bullendale, Macetown, the old gold here in Arrowtown, and many, many more.
Clark opened the museum with a shining golden ribbon to commemorate the finale of the Mammoth project.
I stand before you in front of our beautiful, restored and strengthened bank building with a great sense of pride.
The historic building's also been seismically strengthened, with staff looking forward to showing the expanded museum off to residents and tourists. In Arrowtown, the South Today.
Southland turned on a stunning day for the annual Gore Christmas Parade. The sun shone down as parents and children lined the streets to catch a glimpse of the man in red.
Gore Mayor Ben Bell sporting a summer look for the annual Gore Christmas Parade. There were plenty of traditional parade floats for the locals lining the streets. Event organisers doing their best to up the energy levels this year.
So yeah, it was more of a, Santa's Grotto, silent disco, party vibe.
Street performances proved popular with onlookers.
Instead of having lots of small performances on stage, we had 3 main acts, which was a circus street performer, music, and then a magician. And
the town's mayor reckons the event's organisers got the mix just right.
The community came out in force, and the weather came out for us as well, so it's been super hot and lovely. It's been great for the community, and the event staff put on a fantastic event.
This vintage steam engine caught the eye of passers-by. Organisers also thanked the multitude of sponsors for making the free party possible. In Gore, the South Today.
Well, for anyone eating their dinner in front of the TV right now, you might want to pause your meal for our next story. A multicoloured portaloo has begun a tour of the South Island. The Gut Foundation wants it to be a good talking point for a serious discussion about our number twos.
Shoppers taking a second look at an unusual stand. This colourful portable toilet is touring around the South Island this month, with the aim of increasing awareness around the importance of good gut health. The Review Your Poo Tour is a new initiative from the Gut Foundation, with the team hoping to do some straight talking and educating the public.
We wanted something that would capture people's attention and they'd go, oh, what's this all about? So that we could actually start those conversations, because it's not something we like to talk about.
Christchurch street artist Jacob Yikes turned this portaloo into an abstract representation of the journey through the gut. Fitzgerald says New Zealand has some of the highest rates of a range of gut disorders. Statistics from the Gut Foundation show 9 people are diagnosed with bowel cancer here every day, a disease which is treatable if detected early.
We want people to start realising that their gut microbiome is critically important to their overall health. Big connections between gut health and mental health.
The month-long Portaloo tour began in Picton last week. It's due to stop off at almost 60 supermarkets over the 3,300-kilometre journey, including Queenstown on Saturday, before visiting Invercargill next Monday and Dunedin on Tuesday. From North Canterbury, the South Today.
After the break on Southern Newsweek, Queenstown's 12 Bells of Christmas show brought some colour and lights to the city, and pop culture fans wear their best sci-fi suits and anime-styled outfits as Te Pae hosts its first Armageddon Expo. Welcome back. The Queenstown Christmas Show returned to the stage this year with a diverse cast and an all-new range of performances. The 12 Bells of Christmas lit up the Queenstown Event Centre recently, attracting a record-breaking audience.
Everyone and their dog turned up at the Queenstown Event Centre for the locally produced show, The 12 Bells of Christmas. The show had a record turnout, with around 2,400 people attending over 2 performances.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together as we roll on to our 2022 Christmas show, The 12 Bells of Christmas.
From school kids to farmers, politicians and business owners, local cast members of all ages and backgrounds danced across the stage. The well-known Remarkable Men's Ballet Troupe gave a small taste last Friday with a flash mob in the middle of Ballarat Street in Queenstown. The show told a story of 5 kids on a journey to find their grandmother's bells. The performance proved to be a massive hit with audiences, receiving a huge round of applause as the curtains fell. In Queenstown, the South Today.
Well, the green-fingered enthusiasm of 3 Alexandra Primary School pupils has borne fruit. The school's food garden has won the Central Otago Kura national recognition from the Keep New Zealand Beautiful organisation.
Wandering through their school's fledgling food forest, Toby Longman, Ollie Marshall and Lily Hinson are enjoying the sweet success of their own garden. Alexandra Primary School's one of 10 national winners in the inaugural Keep New Zealand Beautiful Kai Garden competition. However, Garden Club coordinator Danielle Dunn admits the original idea was a borrowed one.
I just copied the idea from a friend, to be honest, who had seen it done before in another school.
These 3 enthusiastic young gardeners are the driving force behind the school's food forest. Dunn says the school's created a diverse and sustainable garden, which provides a golden opportunity for learning.
This was just an opportunity to create a whole new garden. I really like the food forest concept.
The school recently received a grant from the Ministry of Education to refresh its ageing buildings. Staff used that opportunity to set aside a much larger space for their Kai garden, expanding it to include a wider diversity of plants. Now the kids are just waiting until they can sample the fruits of their labour.
Whereas it will be like a living green tunnel that you can travel through and literally pick your lunch off as you travel through it. Yeah.
The school's aiming to develop a garden producing a bounty of fresh fruit and vegetables, which can help inspire, connect and be shared with the local community. In Alexandra,
it's you!
The South Today.
Pop culture event The Armageddon Expo returned to Christchurch last weekend. The city's new convention centre, Te Pae, was taken over by the weird and wonderful, with the Expo the largest event held at the new venue so far.
The popular Armageddon Expo returned to the Christchurch city centre at the weekend for the first time in more than a decade. Hundreds of fans filled Te Pae Convention Centre, enjoying the mix of the comic book characters, international guest stars, giant gaming displays and anime collectibles.
It's been great. I mean, it's always good to be around when you see the families and the kids running around, but also there's so many people of all ages and sexes that are just having a blast.
We used to go to these things as kids. We used to see other older people dressed up, always wanted to go get photos with them. The things you see on TV are suddenly in real life in front of you.
There were cosplay characters of all ages, covering a wide range of movies, TV shows, comics and online games.
Yeah, so this is Perona from the anime One Piece, and she is one of the villains in the show and is a very fun, kind of spooky character.
I'm the grave digger, kind of like an undertaker, but in the Western style sense. And this is the angel of death. She's beautiful, but she's also deadly.
We're nerds.
Yeah.
Basically.
And I love costume making a lot.
Christchurch was the final stop of Armageddon's current New Zealand tour, but hasn't hosted at the Pop Culture Expo in the city's centre since the 2011 quakes. Fans enjoyed meeting others with similar interests, with attendees all happy in their own world.
You could be an alien and land here and this would be you wouldn't stand out here.
Armageddon is set to return to its pre-COVID schedule in the new year, and for the South Island fans, it's a treat they can't wait for. In Christchurch, the South Today.
Central Otago children's author Kyle Mewburn visited the Alexandra Library recently. The author's launching 2 new books, and she says she never quite knows what to expect from her young audience.
Can you think of a word that rhymes with Spinosaurus? It's a question that sparked the idea for a new book by Millers Flat-based author Kyle Mewburn. But the children's writer admits that genre gives authors a license to make up as many words as you like, which she did. This visit to the Alexandra Library was a chance to launch 2 new books after a 6-year gap, which Mewburn says also brings uncertainty.
6 years in a picture book writer's life is a whole generation of children who have come into reading age and moved on, and they may have missed my books completely, which is a total loss.
Mewburn says her other new book, Have You Seen Tomorrow, focuses on a mindfulness message and was sparked by her experience during the COVID lockdowns. She says when writing for children, the moment of truth comes when actually reading the books with an audience.
So no matter how excited I am about the story, until I've read it to kids and seen that reaction when kids suddenly, you see their eyes light up.
Mewburn's next book project is an historical novel set in Millers Flat, which is expected to be released next year. In Alexandra, the South Today.
Well, Southlanders celebrated the coming of Christmas in style, with the biggest party on the region's calendar seeing another successful year.
More than 5,000 people trotted along to Invercargill's Christmas at the Races over the weekend. Event organisers were happy with ticket sales. The event sold out just hours after opening, with 1,000 walk-in tickets being sold. Despite the cloudy skies, punters were still out in their best suits and dresses enjoying the day. Alongside the races, there was live music, a fashion show, and of course, trailer loads of drinks.
Really good environment. It's a de-stress day, it's a party, that's what we're here for. The principle is horse racing. Obviously, human welfare, horse welfare is paramount and our track's excellent.
This year marked the 16th year for the event. Bellew believes Christmas at the Races has turned into Southland's biggest party of the year. In Invercargill, the South Today.
Pupils from West Gore have been regularly receiving their education out of the classroom this year. Pupils and staff have been spending each Friday getting out into local parks, seeing what they can learn when they venture off of their school grounds.
Taking the curriculum to the outside world. West Gore school pupils have been learning outside the classroom on Fridays this year, and were recently taking in the Dollamore Park view as they soaked up knowledge.
While they're out here, they're exploring the science curriculum through the living world. They're finding bugs, they're finding fossils, bones, taking them back to the classroom, doing research. We had a bunch of children who entered it into the Southland Science Fair and got a Merit Award for that.
The school's been using a new program which allows pupils to pick a subject they want and study it while out and about, using a host of learning skills.
Yeah, they're just having a brilliant time in a different environment, but still bringing all that learning and all that knowledge back to the classroom.
Flaus says these regular Friday outdoor education sessions cover most, if not all, aspects of the Education Ministry's primary school curriculum. Funding for the program is supported by Active Southland, with the teachers planning to run the outdoor classroom again next year. In Gore, the South Today.
And that wraps up this edition of Southern Newsweek. For the latest news and videos from the Southern region, head online to odt.co.nz. And you can follow Channel 39 on YouTube to catch our news bulletins on demand. We'll see you again next week. Mā te wā.
Public interest journalism funded through New Zealand On Air.